Well, it was looking really good for Sri Lanka till it was not, and then it was not looking good for Australia till it was. And in the end, you'd have to say that it's looking much better for Australia than they expected at the 15-over mark. And for Sri Lanka, after 125 for no loss, to be 209 all out, geez, this is a day they'd like to forget, or at least a spell of play that they'd like to forget. Remember, they did win the toss and chose to bat. Both the teams, Australia and Sri Lanka, have played 2 games and have lost both. So both need the 2 points, and it looks like Australia perhaps going into this mid-innings break with a lot more confidence to get that 210 and to get those 2 points. I'm Gaurav Kapur. You're watching Cricbuzz Live with me, Joy Bhattacharjya and Simon Doull. Joy, we just want to tell you, you went on a conference call because you were convinced at 125 that it's going to be 300. And when you came back from it, Sri Lanka had left. They just didn't want to bat if you were not watching.
Absolutely. I'm so glad, No, I'm not so glad. Not for
You can be. It's fine. Your true emotions are coming out. No. The true emotion is he's so glad it got over quick. Because in one-day cricket, a quick game is a good game.
It's still not that quick with the rain, is it? It's still not that quick with the rain.
Too much information. But anyway, I will continue with that. I was actually thinking, I used to read a lot of these when I was 12, 13 years old. Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew mysteries. Yeah. So today's mystery was the mystery of the second spell. Because nobody did anything in their first spell. But when they got their second and third spells, things began to happen.
Yeah, sounds more like a Harry Potter book, actually. Just wanted to bring it to the
I like it. I should have thought of that. Yeah. Thank you.
For Sri Lanka, it's the mystery of the second spell. For Australia, I think they'd be thinking the mystery of the first spell. What happened? There was just no teeth, toothless tigers in the first spell. They run away with it, do Nisanka and Kushal Pereira. That opening partnership was fantastic. You take it, 6 days a week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And they played, just good cricket shots. Australia didn't quite get their length right. They're a little bit wide at times. Zampa wasn't great in that first little spell of his. Pat Cummins was okay, but not at his best in that first spell. And then all of a sudden, at 125 for 1 when they lost the first, go as far as to say 157 for 1. And they lost their second wicket at 157. So they've only put on 52 for the last 9 wickets, which is really poor.
Yeah.
That's really bad in less than 20 overs. So that's the sort of, that's a massive collapse when you look at it in that fashion. But it was just the way that Australia came back with that ball. Stark was good throughout pretty much. Cummins had his best day of the tournament. Zampa had by far and away his best day of the tournament. And, the 2 guys we talked about at the start, I thought Pat Cummins, the bowling kind of transferred into his fielding, got that fantastic run out as well. And Zampa, who was under pressure, needed a performance, really found a way to get one today. So I think, Aussie will be pretty confident now going into that second half, even though they were humbled by South Africa at this venue and bowled out for a relatively low score the other day. They should be pretty comfortable.
Yeah, they should be with this. And if they aren't, and if they don't get this, then they really, like we were discussing before the game, they'll have to pack the bags and head home. They'll have to, because again, 6 days a week and twice on Sunday, you'll back Australia to get the score, because it isn't a very big score. But the big story for Australia, actually there's a lot of big stories, Joy, because at the 15-over mark, when we were discussing this on Combox, we were like, oh, that's just more of nothing going Australia's way. They had that review in the first ball, which was quite horrific. There was, that inside edge. They lost that review. They lost some confidence, because then when Maxwell got a clean LBW,
English missed a catch.
They couldn't review it. Josh Inglis missed a catch. We were saying that this is perhaps just going Sri Lanka's way and not Australia's way. They have come back. There's been good fielding. There's been intensity. The catching has been on point. And the 2 bowlers that they've been relying on and haven't done much in the first 2 games, Captain Pat Cummins and their Premier leg spinner Adam Zampa, have both had a really good day.
No, absolutely. And I just so happy at the way they came back, because it was important for them. And again, what these figures don't tell you is exactly how it went. So if you actually look at it, the figures are good for Cummins. Also had a very, very decent spell. Remember, he's been going at about 6.5, 7 per over on a regular basis. The only bowler who's been consistent so far is actually Glenn Maxwell, who didn't complete his quota but managed to get that important wicket. But if you look at the rest of it, it's all of them who came back in second spell. So look at Stark. Stark bowls 1, 3 and 5. Just bowls 3 overs up front, then he's taken away. He comes back for his 13th and 15th, and Cummins probably realizes that I better use him in bursts and see what happens. Then comes back in his third spell, 31, 33 and 35, takes a wicket in the 33rd over, comes back in his fourth spell and gets a wicket in his 41st over. And this is something that you're going to see now increasingly. Perhaps bowlers are not going to bowl those 5 overs up front. You're going to see more breakups happening, more situations where they are tactical in the field, especially on a ground like this. Why? You've looked at the previous ground. Australia has the experience of playing on this ground. What happened there? Suddenly, after 20 overs, the ball refused to come to the batsman.
Yeah.
So they also realized, the Australians also realized this is a top-loaded batting effort you have to make. You've got to go up front hard because the ball's going to slow down and then it's going to get really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And perhaps when we are looking at it and saying that Australia has probably, allowed Sri Lanka to get away, they probably said, these guys are about 30 short in the first few.
Yeah.
If they don't get that many, we can really catch them at the end.
It's a great point, right? Because how the surface is playing. It's almost like you're just moving the file around from desk to desk in the first 15, 16 overs, saying, let them take whatever they're taking, because then the spell of play is going to be bowler friendly.
And that's maybe what they learned from game number 1
Exactly.
in Lucknow. And it's the point Joy's trying to make. And I think that's where I talked a little bit about New Zealand's tournament and playing back-to-back games at 3 different venues. Will it suit them? They get to know the venue, they get to know the surface in the first game, and if they don't win, well, then they know everything to do in the second game. And if they do win, then they're already on the front foot going into that second game. Australia have got that luxury in Lucknow. Having played a game there, yes, they lost it, but they understand the conditions a lot better than they did going into game number 1. So maybe that is part of what Joy's talking about. And they worked it out. They said, we've just got to try and put the brakes on somehow. Once we get one, once that ball is 20, 25 overs old, it starts slowing down, the surface starts to slow down, and it makes things a little more tricky. Now, Sri Lanka had a pretty good opportunity when the rain came, because it would have actually just helped the ball skid on a touch.
Yeah.
But they were too many down by that stage and in a bit of trouble. And then Stark came back, and I think he picked one up not long after the rain delay.
Yeah.
Like in the first over after the rain delay, I think it was a little inside edge back onto the stump. So, they just didn't take advantage of that point either, Sri Lanka.
Yeah, we'll keep talking about this, but the truth is that this is happening in this World Cup. Somehow, with the proliferation of T20 cricket, not just fans who can't, watch the entire 50 overs, seems like the batters also don't want to watch all 50 overs.
No, but we
how many matches? There's just people aren't just playing their quota out. They're not playing their 50 overs.
No, exactly. And we've been looking at that list, and it's quite a long list. Look at it, and I'm going to go through it. Second game, Pakistan and Netherlands. Neither completed 50 overs. Third game, Afghanistan. Fourth game, Sri Lanka. Fifth game, Australia. Sixth game, Netherlands. Seventh game, Bangladesh. 10th game, Australia. 12th game, Pakistan. 13th game, Afghanistan and England. 14th game, Sri Lanka. People are not completing their quota. A large part of it is the fact that most of them are used to a faster pace. And then what happens? You have the world champions, current world champions, and they're still world champions as of now. They might have had a horrible last game. But saying, let's go bang, 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 and you can hit 400 runs.
Yeah.
But perhaps that's not working anymore. Perhaps the bowlers have got onto it. Perhaps the pitches are not conducive. So now you're going bang, bang, bang and getting out for 250. And that's making a huge difference, because I believe that that England template is not a template for everyone. In fact, in a tournament like this, I don't even think it's a template for England.
It's perhaps not, it was a template for 2019, perhaps not for 2023, because 4 years on, the attention deficit has become even more for players. And they're not, as we can see, they're not playing out their 50 overs. And Simon, they're not playing their 50 overs out in India. I mean, these are predominantly batting-friendly pitches and conditions, smaller boundaries. If you're not playing your 50 overs out here, then maybe it's telling us, this pattern is telling us something about the modern cricketer and the ODI game and their relationship.
Yeah, and the fact that sides aren't playing as much 50-over cricket, so they're not used to battling hard through that middle period. If you're 3 down, if you're 4 down, grinding out a partnership of 60, 70 off 20 overs is just not done. They're not in that mode. They sort of get into that mode in the white clothing in test matches, but they don't really get into that mode in the coloured clothing in 50-over cricket, because they just don't play enough of it. And, England's template, does it work all the time? No, absolutely not. Does it work for every team? Absolutely not. But a lot of teams are adopting that. If we can get 344 overs, why take 50 overs? If we're bowled out, so be it. We're not bothered about that. We still think that 300 is enough to win. And that's kind of the attitude that sides are taking off the back of what T20 cricket has provided us.
Yeah.
It's provided I won't say more skill, but more power,
Fair.
more ability to hit boundaries, to clear the boundaries, and different ways to clear the boundary with the ramps and the scoops and these sorts of things. But it's not necessarily provided us with more skill. It's just a different type of game, and they're transferring that into the 50-over game, and it's now becoming one of those situations where I think we'll see more and more of it. I don't think you're going to see sides grinding out. Well, if you get 7 down in the 43rd, 44th over, I don't see sides blocking 1-1-1. I don't see them doing that.
We've just
It's
seen
not
one
gonna
team do that
happen.
actually. Australia the other day with their collapse, they were 70 for 6, but they did grind it out, even though it was kind of a bum game because they were done for because South Africa had just scored so many.
Labuschagne tried to sort of grind it out a bit,
Yeah,
didn't he?
at least you saw that. At least you saw that in them because Labuschagne is just that kind of player.
Yeah.
He is the aberration, right? Because predominantly the younger players just don't have that skill anymore. And I guess we're going to see that more and more. We saw that today. When you look down that Sri Lankan batting lineup, you see these 2 players up front who've taken advantage of the power play. They've thought, all right, we didn't get partnership. We got single-digit partnerships in the first 2 games. So we're going to get it done. They get a century stand. Yes, they're not scoring at a bizarrely high scoring rate, but they've not lost a wicket. After that, it ends up basically looking like a phone number, leaving aside Sri Lanka, who batted till the end. They just all went one by one. Kushal Mendes with his great form, then Samara Vikrama, Dhananjay De Silva. It's just nobody's got anything.
Now, I'll tell you one more thing. Can we just have that scorecard up again?
Minions!
There's one other interesting thing. Sri Lanka comes in at 5, okay, and he's batting 25 of 39, okay. The other side, okay, see the number of balls they've faced.
Yeah.
Okay, 22, 33, 38, 846, 52 balls, and he'd batted a bit before with the previous batsman. So about 60 balls have been faced on the other side, where he's faced 39.
Yeah.
Now, by the time you come to Karunaratne and Thikshana, what are you doing? A standard 50-over batsman is farming strike.
Yeah.
He's hitting a couple of 4s, trying to hit it, rotating it and coming. Because they're used to doing that. Hey, we've got to bat 50 overs. I'll take the strike.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and hit a couple of 4s early up front. Then take a couple of singles. Rotate the strike. Make sure there are no more wickets falling at the other end. Now, this is not a skill you have in 20 overs. You can't use it. You don't need it. Okay?
Yeah.
It's very rarely that you use it. But in 50-over cricket, this was a norm. Batting with the tail was something people knew how to do. Yeah. You see that scorecard and you see this man's supposed to take charge.
Yeah.
He's a middle-order batsman. He's batting with the number 8 and number 9. Yeah, Michael Bevan
used
classic.
to do it beautifully.
Yeah.
And we had Chris Harris used to do it from a New Zealand point of view. MS was pretty damn good at batting with the tail.
Lakshman in his
own. But I mean, he was the last man out, Sri Lanka. So everyone else has fallen between him. He was the last man out trying to get some runs. So I got no issue with that. But what Joy is saying makes a great point. They just
don't know how to.
The batting awareness to be able to do that now is just, it's disappearing.
True.
So if you put a side under pressure, the only way they know how to get out of pressure predominantly is to hit. Is to hit themselves out of trouble rather than actually grind their way out of trouble.
Yeah, I love it. This is not a slight against Sri Lanka. It's just a fact that this is a problem. This is a problem across all teams. It's a skill that people are losing in one-day cricket. Maybe it's just so little of it being played. Maybe they just don't have the attention for it anymore.
No, absolutely. See, I'll tell you what it is. This is what they call scoreboard awareness.
Yeah.
You look up there and say, who's coming out? Number 7's coming out. Okay, let me take a little more strike. I'm not going to give them that many opportunities. I have plenty of overs. I have 16, 17 overs left. I'm not going to allow him to get that much of the strike. So you don't need to do that when you're 5 down.
Yeah.
But by the time you're 7 down,
absolutely.
you are thinking about all this.
Yeah. Let's talk about Zampa, of course, because we have spoken about how Glenn Maxwell was looking more the premier spinner. But today, Zampa showed who's boss. He's got a 4-4, which is good. I mean, that's what you count in one-day cricket.
Yeah, leg spinner's coming out nicely. Got the wrong to go. Picked up LBW. He's the top spinner with an LBW as well. So much more impressive, much more the Adam Zampa that we thought we would see more of coming into this tournament, I think. And more the Zampa that Australia wanted to see. They were really desperate to see Zampa perform well throughout this tournament. I thought it was going to be spin dominated from some points of view.
Yeah.
And Maxwell's bowled beautifully in the first 3. He bowled well today, bowled really tightly today. But they need Zampa to be their number 1 spinner, and today he certainly looked more like it.
He's got 10 4-wicket hauls now, only 3 behind the great Shane Warne in ODIs.
Yeah.
Shane Warne had 13. Zampa's now got 10. So
Yeah.
that's why we kind of big him up so much, because he's been doing this for Australia at kind of regular intervals and, not happening. It's just looking a little out of touch, a little out of sync, a little out of tune, but not today. Let's just a quick word about the captain. We're very fond of him, Pat Cummins. He's one of the good guys. So it's good to see him do well. It's good to see him. I was talking to Simon in the Combox, Joy, about how for a pace bowler, it's a big booster shot to their confidence when they can just hear that ball hitting the stumps.
Rattle the stumps. Yeah, absolutely. Then he gets that run out,
Yep.
It's a very important run out at that stage, just making sure that one more set batsman's going. I think he's looking much more as a captain on the field. He's looking, and you see, again, it's one thing, if you have doubts about your ability, you should be playing first 11 or not, it does play on your captaincy.
Yeah.
So when he gets wickets, when he's performing on the field, he is a different captain. Almost every captain's like that. It's very difficult to dissociate those two. So I think he's looked at it, he's moved his, again I was looking at Zampa. How are they bowling Zampa? 14, 16, 18, then 28, 30, 32, 28 and 30 gets wickets, then 38, 40. He comes back there again. Now what I'm trying to say is that again, they're using their bowlers differently. Another thing, leaving somebody like a Zampa in the 30th over, in the 32nd over, he's bowled 6. That means they've left 4 of Zampa to bowl from 38 to 50. They've left Maxwell to bowl from 38 to 50. So one of the things you're seeing, which you didn't expect that much, people are leaving, especially on surfaces like Lucknow, a lot of spin towards the last 10 overs on those pitches.
I guess you also have the extra fielder out, right? So maybe that's
then that makes a difference. So with the seamers on in that middle period, only 4 fielders outside the circle, you can kind of try and cut down one side of the ground and make sure you use those boundary riders. And the spinners with 5 out in the last 10 are a better option. It's actually quite difficult because there's always a hole for the spinners. There's always a gap in the outfield that wasn't kind of there before when the spinners are bowling through that middle period. So it's not as easy as it was. And you saw, at times Sri Lanka took advantage of it. Zampa would often bowl with the mid-off up to the left-hander. So we saw a couple of balls get hit over the top of mid-off. That's the one gap. Normally with 5 out, he would have mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, a backward square, and a cover point on the boundary. They would be his 5 boundary riders in the last 10 overs. But with one of those guys not allowed, there's always an area. And so I think that's part of the reason why we are seeing more spin bowled later in the piece with the extra fielder out. But just on Pat Cummins, we talked about it. He's been under pressure. He's been massively under pressure. And when you are bowling well, the captaincy seems easier. He's got a smile on his face again today. It doesn't mean that he'll continue to have a great tournament, but he has a far better day today with the captaincy. I did see him talking to Steve Smith a lot more at first slip when Smith was there for Zampa. There was a lot more communication, had a smile on his face, which we haven't seen in the first couple of games. And these little things help, when he starts to bowl well. And one thing, and I said this the other night, I think if he does away with trying to do too much and just hits that good hard length like he does in Test match cricket, he actually can be successful. But sometimes I feel like he tries too much and maybe puts pressure on himself. But I thought today he just hit a nice, good, hard length, a Test match length.
We're talking about shorter spells for the Australian bowlers. We had a great discussion on the Hindi show the other day with Virender Sehwag and Ashish Nehra. And Ashish Nehra was very unhappy with these 3 over spells. He's like, you got to bowl longer spells in ODI cricket. And Viru said, well, if it was up to Nehra, he would bowl like 8 overs at a go. He would just keep bowling. But that's the thing. Strategically, it's changing now. Maybe because you're just waiting for that a little advantage in that first power play because bowlers have none. And if the pitch is going to slow down later, you just want to make sure that everybody's overs are a little left. Just keep mixing it around a little bit. And that's why I guess we saw Maxwell bowling in the first 10
he bowled
today
in
as well.
Came on the 8th over.
Yeah. Let's talk about the energy in the field today for Australia. Helps when you hold on to your catches, as they did. I mean, Warner was no surprise. Warner took 2 catches today, but Warner was the only one who didn't drop one in the previous match as well. In fact, I think he let his teammates know that as well, didn't he?
Very, very quickly. But, David, we've seen David Warner so often for so many years here at the IPL and throughout, different Australian tours. He sets the tone. He sets the tone for that fielding side. He is brilliant in the field, Joy.
No, absolutely. Wasn't not just brilliant in the field. He was brilliant with the covers as well, running on with it, making sure that he quickly got on the covers. Of course, it wouldn't hurt that he'll get about 3 million likes on his Insta feed tomorrow with that. But here's a man who double, if so be it, if he's helping out. And look, he's a personality. And I feel that, the game needs it, the Australian team really needs it. Because
he's a character.
Yeah,
sure.
you have nice guys, but you also need the characters to turn around. And, Jadeja is a little like that for the Indian team. Gives them something a bit different,
Yeah.
A bit of a mongrel, as they say.
Absolutely.
Tough customers won't give up and say, what the hell is going on, Play tough.
There's very few people who don't have an opinion on David Warner.
That's true.
He's one of those characters. Yeah. You either like David Warner or you don't like David Warner. There's very few people, I'm not sure.
I like it.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't find, you ask 100 people, what do you think of David Warner? No, mate, no good. No good. Yeah. Oh, I love him. I love what he does. Very few go, I'm not really sure about David Warner.
There was another
They don't
person.
sit on the fence.
There's another person I worked with a lot, Navjot Singh Sidhu. He used to say this line saying, love me or hate me, but don't ignore me.
Yeah.
Right?
And people didn't.
It was,
People
didn't.
You could. And if you did, he would just laugh louder. Yeah. You would hear him. All right. I'll tell you what. Cricket's popularity has also been heard by the IOC, hasn't it, Joy? And Joy will tell us more because Joy is our Olympian here. He's a multi-sport specialist, right? Volleyball, fantasy sport. What else? Football. Football as well. Come on. You were the tournament director for the FIFA Under-19 World Cup. Is
Under 17.
Under 17. Sorry, but they're all under 19 now. They're grown up. But so tell us about this.
No, it's incredible. And in fact, I just want to go back for a minute to talk about the first time cricket was played. It was played in the Olympics in 1900 in Paris. So one team was comprised of the Great Britain team, which was actually a club team which was touring from Great Britain. And the other team was basically from 2 clubs out there, all of whom were expats who were also staying out there. The interesting part of it is that a few of those expats, the club that it belonged to, they had basically come there to build the Eiffel Tower. So so they were all round.
Multi-skilled.
The club
all-rounders.
the club had started for that reason. And by this time, these guys had all started playing cricket because they've come from England to build the Eiffel Tower. And those guys played, and it was a 2-day match. And France managed to get dismissed in 2 days. But it was such an important match that the winners won the Olympic silver medal. And the runners-up were given the bronze medal.
What?
No gold.
See, I'm not joking. Great Britain won the silver, France won the bronze, and silver medal was the top medal.
Oh, this was the gold stolen. What happened?
It was. The Olympics were like that. Strange things used to happen in the Olympics those days. But it's a great thing for the Olympics to happen out here now because I think the stage is right. And if you look at it, perhaps the Olympics needs cricket probably a little more than even cricket needs the Olympics. Yeah. Because what they do is they always catch on to the new sports, the sport that are this thing, because they are trying to build their market. So in 24, for example, you have breaking. Okay. In 28, you have squash. Okay. You have baseball, which is making a comeback. You have cricket and you have flag football, which is their watered down version of NFL football.
Ah, okay. So what is it like? No touch.
Very touch and pick up a flag.
Basically, you have a flag on the side of your shorts.
Oh, I know this. That's how kids play rugby.
Yeah, like Ripper Rugby. Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Ripper Rugby. So it's flag.
Yeah.
Ooh. So Ripper Rugby is flag football.
It's flag football.
Okay.
It's an interesting one for me. I think the Olympics needs cricket. I'm not sure that cricket needs the Olympics.
Yeah.
Is it good that it's there? Who wouldn't want to go to an Olympics? New Zealand went, the Commonwealth Games in '98 in Kuala Lumpur. The teams that went there absolutely loved the vibe of the village and everything that is around it. I still think, and I felt the same way when golf went to the Olympics, if it's not the pinnacle of your sport, I'm not sure it should be there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So the pinnacle of golf is winning majors.
Yeah. But then should football be in the Olympics then?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No
Fair
way.
point.
I don't. I love the Olympics for the athletics.
Yeah.
For the field athletics, the swimming.
Swimming, yes.
The hockey. Hockey. I think the hockey Olympic gold medal is way more valuable than a world championship.
Okay. It is. Easily by
boxing, wrestling, and all of them.
Wrestling, all that sort of stuff, because they are amateurs. Boxing is amateur still.
Yeah.
Can't go to the Olympics as a professional. So, those sorts of things, I feel that's where it's the pinnacle of the sport.
It's a fair
Is an
point.
Olympic gold the pinnacle of cricket?
No, it's not. And to your point, if you remember, Steffi Graf, did she win the Golden Grand Slam also that year that she won the gold medal as well, and she won the Grand Slam? I don't think anybody remembers the gold. Everyone remembers the Grand Slam. Right?
Andy Murray won the gold medal, didn't he, in the men's?
There you go. And then remember the US basketball dream team?
92.
Right? That was the dream team. 92 was the Barcelona Olympics where they won. And as soon as that team came, you were like, yeah, they're going to win it. But I don't even think it was a milestone in their lives. It's an interesting point. I like it.
To them, it's an NBA title. To a golfer, it's a major. I mean, Justin Rose, I think, won the Olympic gold in the golf. But look, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's amazing for the game. But what level do we take it? Who goes? You know what? If it's going to be at the Olympics, I'd love it to be an under-23 competition.
I like that. That's
so what they did in football.
So do away with senior. We have World Cups. We have 50-over World Cups, T20 World Cups. Do under 25, under 23. I don't know. Make it where it is interesting, and we might see some development, and we might see something a little bit different. I don't know how they work it, but that's...
Afghanistan will be led by Mohammad Nabi.
So firstly...
Afghanistan will be led by... Shahid
so Rashid will be still under 23 then. Rashid will always be under 23.
Yeah, Shahid Afridi will come back. Otherwise, Iftikhar is there.
Ifti is always there.
Keeps calling all the youngsters bhai.
Football under 23.
So football rule is now basically they play under 23 and 2 players above 23. So what they do is, why? Because you have 2 stars then.
I don't mind that either.
So Messi will play because, you can have a star out there. The rest of them are under 23. But remember one thing, just 6 teams will play. Because the problem is pitches. You're going to have one stadium. How many pitches are you going to make?
True.
So your problem is, given that one stadium, given the number of pitches that you need, only 6 teams will play. So Afghanistan's chances of making it to that top 6 perhaps.
You've got to qualify, right? You've got to play the qualifiers and get
and again, how do you fit those in? If you're playing, if it's full member nations, right, with top teams, how do you fit all of those qualifying games in and around all the leagues we've got now, in and around all of the bilateral series? So that's where I think it may be beneficial to have an under-23.
It'll come. I'll tell you.
I don't know.
It's made it part of the LA Olympics. It was announced in Mumbai just yesterday. And Mrs. Amani, of course, the IOC member from India, who said the inclusion of cricket in the Olympics will create deeper engagement for the Olympic movement in newer geography. See, very important, the point that you were saying. And at the same time provides a boost to cricket's growing international popularity. It's the thing, right? Here's the thing. The Olympics, of course, there's perhaps 2 markets that FIFA and the Olympics haven't, the 2 biggest organizations in the world, Joy, and you know this, they haven't cracked. One is India. The Olympics come here, yes, for a couple of weeks in 4 years. There's a bit of noise, but obviously they want to penetrate deeper, far wider. So I think it's a good move for them as well. And for cricket, why not? If we can win, if India can go and win a medal, then, well, everyone's a winner.
2. Men's and women's.
Men's and women's.
So there you go. 2 medals. Winner, chicken dinner.
Correct.
Love it.
So India is going to go for it. Look, I'll tell you one thing. FIFA, most popular game in the world. The 3rd highest social media is India. We are 97 in the world, but it's 3rd highest social media. And the only reason we are not number 1 is because TikTok is not there in India. And TikTok in places like Brazil and all is huge. But that's the only reason. Otherwise, with a team which is 97 in the world, so that's the kind of hit that you get even with a team doesn't have a chance to qualify in the World Cup.
But sheer numbers, isn't it?
Yeah,
sheer numbers. And I understand totally why the IOC have gone down this road, because all of a sudden, let's say India men and women are at the Olympics playing cricket. There are 1 billion eyeballs, possibly, that have an opportunity to watch that. And that is why they want it there. And therefore, every other Olympics that's been before, when cricket hasn't been there and India hasn't been playing, the next Olympic sales or sponsorship or television rights, they go through the roof, much like what's happened with the IPL.
Yeah.
The television rights and the money, the sponsorship rights for the IOC, and they generally only have, like FIFA, 5 or 6 really core sponsors.
Yeah.
A couple of them are fairly large in this market. All of a sudden, fellas, you know what you paid last time? You're going to have to double it.
Yes.
You are going to have to double it.
Yeah, winner.
I'm telling you, this is the most significant addition to the Olympics since the Dream Team in '92 when they brought in professional basketball. It's the most significant addition.
There you go. That's the word on it. Of course, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, perhaps we'll get to know how exactly this will work. What will be the qualifying? What will be?
Will it be T10? Will it be T20?
Will it be just a super over? I don't know.
T20, thank goodness. I think it's T20.
It is T20.
Is it? Okay.
But as time goes on, it could be T10. It could be just a super over. When all 200 countries compete, it'll just be by toss.
Just because I'm here, we don't need to mention super overs.
Yeah,
I don't know why you always do this to me.
No, we generally look for Kiwis before saying.
Yeah. I just like to poke the hornet's nest. You see? That's what I like to do. All right. Well, for Australia, it is a chase that will not daunt them too much. Just a tad over 4 runs and over. So they will back themselves to get it done. We do know one thing, though, Joy, that at least somebody like David Warner, Mitchell Marsh only plays one way, but somebody like David Warner will come out and realize that because they've sussed this pitch out. They know if they're going to get something out of it, they're going to get it in the first 10, 15 overs. They are definitely going to come harder, than they have in the previous games, because they know that if they can knock 100 in the first 12, 13, 14 overs also perhaps, that's it. That's job done.
Yeah, I mean, 112, 13 would they'd love to get there, but yeah, I think they'll press on the accelerator, knowing that if they allow the pitch to slow down, they lose wickets. This could be a tricky surface to bat on. So definitely hard up front is the rule. I think that's what they're going to look at.
Yeah, for Sri Lanka, though, it's not much. I mean, their batters have really let them down. This is not much for them to play at, especially with a gun batting lineup. Even though a lot of them are out of form, they look a little out of sync. But, I mean, they're still great pedigree.
Yeah, take a leaf out of the South Africans' book from the other night. Ngidi, Rabada, Janssen. Just think about that good hard length. We saw some numbers where South Africa were about 2 feet shorter on average. They were hard into the surface than Australia were in that first game. And they got the ball to talk and start to do things a little bit. So Sri Lanka have to take wickets up front. They have to have Australia 3, 4 down inside that first 15, 20 overs to put some pressure on that middle to lower order. So that's the only way they can win this game. If they get 3 or 4 down and then all of a sudden Australia still need 100, 120 and the spinners can come into play, then it's game on.
You still have people like Marnus Labuschagne and Steve Smith over there. These guys, this is their business model. A 4-run over chase for them is bread and butter.
You're absolutely right. This is their game.
Yeah, completely.
This is their game.
Even if they lose their openers,
this is their game. They need to control. Those two are key. You're absolutely right. And those two, again, are some of the few international cricketers who still know how to construct innings, because that's a rare breed nowadays.
Yep.
Virat Kohli, of Steve Smith, a few, Kane Williamson.
Yeah. Not too many. There's, of course, Sri Lanka have given away 750 plus runs in the first 2 games. They have really bled, but haven't been playing, I think, not on this surface. This surface could help them, but they have to first help themselves by getting a few wickets in the top 10. Let's have a look at the teams. You can have a look at the Sri Lankan bowling, so you know who there is, because they have made a couple of changes. They have Lahiru Kumara, who comes into the side. So he's playing in place of Pathirana. So Lahiru Kumara is there. They still have Dilshan Madhushanka. For the spin, they have Mahesh Thikshana. They have Dunit Velalage. Karuna Ratne has come in for the injured captain Dasun Shanaka. And they'll get a few overs perhaps from Dhananjay De Silva, from the others. But the key for them, Simon, perhaps, is that spell up front from Lahiru. And from
Madhushanka. Yeah, I think swinging the ball away from David Warner, the left-hander, left armour going away from Warner, and just trying to tie Mitchell Marsh up. If Mitch Marsh gets on a bit of a roll, he's the guy I think will be the aggressor, the real aggressor up front. Don't get too short to him because he will punish you. And if you get anything wide, he'll just throw the bat at it. So they're going to have to be really disciplined to both those players. But I think the matchup for Madhushanka comes against Warner, swinging the ball away, get a slip, get 2 slips in, and try and take some wickets early. Be aggressive early to take some wickets, and if it doesn't go your way, then maybe try and sort of defend a little bit after that. But they need wickets up front.
Yeah, there's a storm coming. Not for Sri Lanka, in Lucknow. There's a storm. There's an actual storm that has come, and it's raining. And by the way, the storm's pretty bad because the spectators have been evacuated.
Evacuated?
Yeah.
No. What?
They've been asked to leave. That's how bad the storm is. But we're being asked to leave as well. Okay, I guess we'll just...
Is the storm coming here?
Yeah, storm's coming here as well.
Okay.
Just saying we should, All right. I'm not one to argue against authority. If it's dangerous, then I'm going to go. I'm beyond that age where I risk life and limb for my job. No. But Theekshana, it's an interesting quote from Theekshana. And I found this fascinating. He said, we're not very accustomed to these Indian wickets where a batsman can easily score 350, 360 runs. From a bowler's perspective, if we don't maintain discipline in our game, we'll definitely lose. Theekshana has.
Which pitches is he used to? I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played the IPL. I was a little surprised with this. I guess what he's talking about is maybe Sri Lankan pitches.
Yeah,
just give a little more to the bowlers.
What did he expect when he came here? I'm trying to work it out.
I think
is it just a bit of a? I mean, is it a misunderstanding what he's saying there? Because that doesn't sound like it's not a smart thing to say.
I think it's lost in translation.
Yeah, I think,
or maybe
I think so.
Maybe it was the blunt force trauma of the Delhi pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
It
give
just
away
doesn't-
400 plus and
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. For him to say that, he's played enough cricket in this country, as have most of those players, well, not most of them, as have quite a few of them. They've played enough cricket here, they've seen enough cricket here to understand that not every pitch is the same. And I think that's the beauty so far of this tournament. What I have enjoyed is not every pitch is the same. And we talked about this leading into the tournament. I was really... I was upbeat about the fact that we would get different surfaces in Kolkata, in Lucknow, in Ahmedabad, in Delhi, in Chennai. And I like that. They're not all flat, 350, 400 surfaces. Some will turn, some will go through, some will be seam friendly for a little while. I like that about this tournament and about the vast array of the country. And I think you only get that, well, not only, but you predominantly will get that straight after rainy season. And at the early part of the season, where you can actually, not manipulate, but where you can actually leave grass on a surface in Delhi and give it some pace and some bounce. I can't wait till we go to Kolkata. I can't wait to see what we get down at Wankhede Stadium, because that could really fly through as well with some good pace and bounce. So that's what excites me about this. It's not just all exactly the same. It's not a blueprint across the country.
Chinnaswamy, there's been nothing at Chinnaswamy so far as well.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Ooh.
Nope.
So, yeah, exactly. And we are used to the IPL. Tired pitches, they're dying.
That's what I mean.
End of season, pitches in their last, prepared to be buried.
Yeah.
That's what you get normally. And I think this is very different. And you're absolutely right. I haven't seen that much grass in Delhi for a long, long time.
It's so good. But I mean, I said on commentary last night, I was asked about the surface by, I can't remember who's sitting next to me, and Shane Watson was in the back of the commentary box. And they said, does it look like this for IPL? I said, no, but it should have. It should have looked like this. I said, I think, because Delhi, remember when we were talking about Delhi having Norkia, Rabada, Sharma, but they had a crack bowling attack, seam bowling attack, and it was browner than a backyard. Like in the middle of winter, it was just dirt. They never left a blade of grass on it. If they'd have had a surface like that to bowl on, they would have been so much better off. And Shane Watson's in the back clapping away, going, yeah, you tell him it's not our fault. It's not our fault.
Were you going with browner than a baby's diaper?
Well, I was going to.
Should have.
I was going chocolate lava cake, but you are much better.
Same.
You win. I will never be able to eat a chocolate lava cake again in my life, thanks to you.
We would have said it. We would have said in New Zealand than a sheep's backside. But
you can say it. We'll play this clip on TikTok in New Zealand.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So no one in India will see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. I haven't seen this much grass in Delhi unless you go to Delhi University. The cricket pitches there have a lot of grass.
Yeah. And the common ground where people sit and study.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with you guys.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that.
Roll up there and just sort of sit down and.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's a good hangout joint for everyone.
Absolutely.
That's
yes.
right.
It's
our producer, by the way, Kalol, has sent us a very interesting factoid. You like this, Joy? And help you maintain your composure.
I'm thinking of Delhi University, my days in Delhi University.
There you go.
And the grass out there.
Coming back?
Anyway.
Yeah? Some hazy memories?
Hazy is the right word.
Hazy memories. All right, great. By the way, our actress, Kalki, right? Kalki, Coughlin, the actress. She's the great-granddaughter of Maurice Coughlin. And her surname is a little confusing to pronounce. She says it's Coughlin. The structural engineer of the Eiffel Tower, and he contributed to the creation of the Statue of Liberty. So you were talking about the crew
wonderful.
put together. Well done, Kalol. Good job. He's managed to impress Joy with some trivia.
I like it.
That's a good day.
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
That's a good difference.
It's a good
what?
one.
Oh, he's just said he quits and he's leaving. That's it. We'll never see him again. All right. You will see us again. because we will come back as soon as this game is done, and it looks like it'll get done in Australia's favour, and they will get those 2 points. Right now, of course, we have to fight for our points as well because we didn't get the score prediction. It looked like we'd get the score prediction right, to be honest. At 150 for 1, they were looking good for 300. Simon and my guesses would have been in play, but at the end of the day, nobody was anywhere close. So we'll go again. This time we'll try to guess the power play score. So the first 10 overs, how many are Australia going to get?
I was furthest away, so do I get to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Marshall go on one here, I think, and they will be 78.
Yeah, I was going to go with 74, but now I won't go with 74. I'll go with 71.
I'm going to be boring. 62.
Okay.
62.
Yeah, we just spread it out there.
All right.
Is that the same year you were at university in Delhi?
That one I don't remember. Thanks to they were, winter haze.
Sorry.
I know where.
That's good. Well done. That was a good one. That was a good one. Simon Doull coming in with a leg punch, uppercut. We're going to give Joy a little time. You think of a comeback, all right? You think of it. Yeah. I just want to tell you that your comeback to Simon cannot involve sheep in any way. You're not going for low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, because
Need to be better.
Yeah, with a country with 5 sheep to 1 person, there's only one way to go,
Hey,
or 5 ways to go.
How do you think we keep warm at night? I mean, that's all I'll say. I mean,
Sheep, wool,
blankets.
sweaters.
Blankets.
What are you thinking?
Everybody needs blankets. What were you thinking?
What's going on with you guys, man?
I don't know what's going on.
All right. Looks like the storm has disrupted our thinking as well. We're going to go take a short break. That's right. As in, we're going to just take a break. It could be a short one because if the storm keeps going on, maybe they'll just call the game off and we'll come back and, do an end show. Could be. Fingers crossed. Yeah. But otherwise, looks like Australia's going to get this as soon as they get a chance to play. We're going to come back either ways, whether they get it or they don't. We'll be here on Cricbuzz Live. A big thank you to Joy Bhattacharya and Simon Doull. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for this wholesome discussion full of trivia, some historical facts, some confessions, some talk about society, the future, Olympics. We've covered everything and we spoke about some cricket as well. I'm Gaurav Kapur. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.